Hi, my name is Dana Koerner. I am a dual degree veterinary and master's in public health student completing my capstone. My capstone ended up being a grant proposal based off of a study that I designed alongside Dr. Videsi and some of my classmates earlier in my veterinary studies, specifically looking at pet travel. The title of the project is called Pets, Planes, and People, Examining Public Health When Pets Travel by Air into Grenada. And the reason that I felt compelled to examine pets flying on planes is there's been this recent trend in about the past 5 years of pets now becoming very normal to see on an airliner. People travel with pets for various reasons, whether it's they're relocating, emotional support, um, and regardless of the reason, there's this new interface between humans and animals that's happening on a very specific and high level if it's commercial airliners throughout the not only the United States, but now coming down into Grenada. Um, I thought that Grenada had a very specific sample population since we have such high influx of people flying in with their animals, partly due to the presence of the vet and med school on the island. So I thought that this served as a very unique opportunity to look at this a little bit further, diving into the differing protocols and experiences that people have while they are traveling. So the design of the study is a survey base, and essentially what we are trying to identify are common trends among students, residents who are traveling with pets, the common trends that they experience when flying with different airliners. JetBlue, Delta, American are some of the big airliners that fly into Grenada, and each has a little bit differing of a protocol when it comes to traveling with a pet, whether that's an ESA or service animal or cargo. This study specifically is majority of the animals coming into Grenada are ESAs, so we run into a little bit of a roadblock there, not asking specifically about that component, but wanting to just focus on their experience traveling with their animal. So ideally, we would like to send out a pilot study to make sure that the questions are making sense, to make sure that there is uh, content that can be drawn when we give out the study after the travel season. So we'd like to give this study before the students leave the island in May. This would be the pilot study that we distribute. And then from there, we could identify what questions need to be reworded, see if our survey is on track. Once we get the pilot study done and moving forward with our finalized survey, we would like to distribute the surveys between high travel times when students and residents are coming down to the island, which we've identified as August and January, lining up with the academic calendar for SGU. It would be a survey online through a secure data company, much like SurveyMonkey, and confidentiality would be of utmost importance. We wouldn't ask names, we'd be identifying via a number. And it's a question, it would vary depending on the pilot survey, questionnaire from 20 to 25 questions about their travel down. For example, some of the questions vary from which state they were flying from, the species, gender, weight of the pet, how is the experience being A, entirely positive down to negative, how is the experience finding the information itself on the airline's website, how did you perceive your pet's comfort level, was your pet examined by a veterinarian, aside from the pets traveling with the owners alone and how that experience went on more of a personal side. Of course, there's also this interface of public health in the sense that animals are reservoirs for disease. We could be transmitting ticks, we could be transmitting new types of fleas. So making sure that health certificate protocol is strictly adhered to. Medical conditions of the pet to analyze what kind of are pets flying that might have a higher bit of a risk. And then questions about traveling back. The main idea is to gauge how the traveling worked, how it all went with their pet, but also to identify common trends among the people, their experiences, and then also be able to target the type of person who might be traveling with a pet, which we assume is going to be students. After the surveys, we will go through data analysis of qualitative and quantitative measures, as our data is it's a mixed method study. And the end goal is to hopefully identify, if not which airliner is the safest and most streamlined for bringing pets down, but to at least have an idea. And this can be given in some form of a deliverable, whether it's posted on the SGU website, whether the Grenada Agricultural Authority, since people traveling with pets must go to that website, whether this information was there. It would just be so ideal and helpful moving forward that instead of all these differing protocols, all these different information and other sites, that there could be one study that has been completed to try to narrow that down a little bit and identify. The reason I did a grant proposal is because we didn't do the study here at SGU. It is pending IRB approval. We run into some roadblocks with the idea of an ESA, and you can't ask why an ESA, but that is not what we are asking. On the survey, it doesn't need to be marked if they wish not that it is an ESA. So that is least important to us. Once we get IRB approval, with some grant money, we're asking for a total of $1,800 US to secure a computer to be able to do all this research, a safety lockbox to make sure that everything stays secure. And then of course, the big important part would be to buy and purchase the software needed for data analysis later on. The timeline of this project, I'm hoping that it would take, since we'd like to collect data in 2 different travel periods, being August and January. I have August 2020 and January 2021 as ideal, depending how the study gets picked up or the way that funding goes. I know that we can be flexible with that as long as we're aligning with the travel times of students. The program that I would need to purchase that looks at qualitative data and analysis is called MAXQDA. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, MAXQDA. And this is a new software that is front running to help analyze the qualitative data, more so like the extremely satisfied versus dissatisfied of those types of questions. So overall, having money to move forward would really help get this study off the ground. And I believe we are very lucky here in Grenada to have such a specific population of people traveling with their pets. To push just the importance of this study being completed, it has been shown time and time again in studies that the human-animal bond is extremely beneficial to our health. In that interaction from a public health level of animals and humans, can be integral for some people handling whether it's stressful situations like flying or stressful situations like graduate school or living far apart or living far away from home. It's been shown that owning an animal and having a companion animal with you can help lower cortisol levels. It's been shown that people who own animals actually are a bit healthier. They tend to have lower BMIs, healthier BMIs. So across the board, from emotional to physical, there are many pros for having a pet and making sure that pet travel is accessible and easily completed, easy to understand how exactly you do it, but most importantly, safe regarding public health issues like vaccination protocols, making sure that they get their travel certificate. I believe that most of the gray area comes with the differing protocols among the airlines. And even if this study were to be replicated outside of Grenada, maybe at big airports in the United States, the data pool could be enlarged. And then hopefully, in an ideal world, these airlines would come together and try to make the process very similar and have one almost governing body on this matter to make it safe for everybody involved. Overall, I had a very positive capstone experience. I really feel passionate about this topic because I know how many people it affects, and it's such a new area. If this study were to be approved and we were to get the funding, we could be potentially one of the first universities to be able to pilot a study like this, which is extremely exciting, not only for me, but for SGU as well. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.